They say united we stand, divided we fall. If we not celebrate, we do it for yeah. Voila, you forget that. You from low vacante, you from Maryland. Voila, you from Rewa Sessu. I'm a bad that way on your river. I'm up on the fine way. Tabila, Kriwako, Kriwako. I love Liberia, oh yeah yeah. Free land on liberty, Liberia, oh yeah yeah. Oh yeah yeah. I love Liberia, oh yeah yeah. They play for me and you, Liberia, oh yeah yeah. Oh yeah yeah.
I was raised in the slum, but I chilled with my guns. Kept it on the low, but we fought for the bones. True son of the sun, I'm a prince in my own. Never gonna lie, me, I love LIB. Even though it's far, when we show 'em we can face it. It's not a prophecy, I know that we can rise again. Holding my hand, I holding your own. United we stand, divided we fall. You know what I say when I come with ball. When I chillin' on that side, and I get no bro. I got L to the O to the V and the E. If we fighting together, we can conquer this team. From the east to the west, then waving the flag from the north to the side. You're not joining the team. You go where you pella, you love my crown. Who can?
Good evening, and welcome to Open Conversation. Today is Friday, the 7th day of July, 2023. Welcome to Open Conversation. This is where we critically analyze trending issues, set the agenda, and seek your input on the positive direction of our country. And it's good to be here with my co-host.
It's also good to be here with you too, Titi, and let's say welcome to the many listeners that always take up their time to follow us on Open Conversation, as well as the most fascinating issues, trending issues of our country. I'm honored being here as well. And today's Friday.
Yeah, they say Fridays for everybody. And they say, well, somebody posted on Facebook today, I think it's Jala, it says, all the ladies love to wear black on Friday. And when they wear black, is it to murder the guys? And so I see you wearing black. I'm not wearing black. So why is that?
It's like it's in a vice versa of Jala's comment.
Absolutely.
So instead of the ladies wearing black to murder,
the gentleman is
wearing black.
to murder. Okay, it's good to be here. And of course, we will talk about what's trending in Liberia. But let me tell you, who we have for guests this evening on Open Conversation. We will talk to former Montserrat County Superintendent and Vice Running Mate to Dr. Clarence Moniba of the Liberia National Union. And she will be telling us why her LNU ticket is best for Liberia. So you don't want to miss it. We are going to elections in October. So we want to know what all of those who are running, to unseat the incumbent president have to offer Liberia. But let's take a short break, a very short break, and we'll be back. When we're back, we'll talk about what's trending in Liberia. Stay with us. This is Open Conversation.
From the east to the west, north to the south, let's come together as one. They say united we stand, divided we fall. If we not celebrate, we do it for yeah. Voila, you forget that.
Welcome back to Open Conversation on ELBC Radio. And so what's trending in Liberia today and outside Liberia? What's really, really trending today?
So what's trending today? Tier 1 Gonglo, Councillor Gonglo actually demonstrated astute leadership today. Yesterday, this one of his auxiliary groupings made a denigrating statement against ECOWAS and against the National Elections Commission. So they said that they do not trust the credibility of ECOWAS, to supervise the elections in our country. So
really?
Yes, they did say that. So
who do they want to come in?
They did not make any
elections
alternative, but they were just being
sweeping
oblivious.
Comments.
Yes, they were just being oblivious. And but actually, what I did, see from Tier 1 Gonglo was, an astronomical display of leadership. That's what I saw from him.
What did he do?
He came public and he debunked them, and he asked them to apologize to ECHO, and that was a serious positive step that almost all of our political actors should be taking. When our supporters come out and and make these threatening comments, we must be able to be bold enough to allow them feel that they have earned, not because they support us, but we all want to see the peaceful nature of our country, most especially this Kalawokfe electoral period. So I want to say thumbs up to Tiawan Gongo for actually demonstrating leadership today.
Great. And so yesterday we know that over 30 cows also, died in Lofa County. We don't know why, but we will speak with our correspondent in that part of Liberia to talk about, what's happening. Because last night I heard that, or I saw that there was this communication from the health authorities that nobody should go around those cows. They wanted to test and know exactly what happened to the cows. How come people wake up in the morning and you see over 30 cows, dead in the field? But this evening we're getting, different news. So let's go to Lofa County now and speak with Tokpatanu, who is already on the line. Tokpa, good evening.
Good evening, Titi, and thanks for having me this evening.
Okay, so tell us, last night we heard that, health authorities were to go to Lofa County, or the ones you have in Lofa County were to, look at those cows and know exactly what was the cause of their death. Did that happen?
No, that did not happen. It should have happened this morning, as you said exactly. But that did not happen. And the reason behind that we've got from the county animal health surveillance officer in person of Musa Kamara. Their plan was to have gone there and get specimens from those dead cows that they would have taken to the lab for testing to be able to know exactly what might have killed the cows. But the fact that you had looters, that's how they've been referred to, who all moved at the place overnight and reportedly butchered all of the dead cows, that made it impossible for them to have visited the place this morning.
So, Tokpa, you say looters went there and butchered the cows. Tell us, was it just in the field? Is this not somewhere where these cows used to be? Is it not owned by somebody? So how come looters went in? How did they get in?
So they were all in the field, right? It's a very large open field. And though they belong to someone, yes, this man, I'm told, is in fact in Monrovia. And so you have the owner of the cows, I'm told, is in Monrovia. And so you had this Flamen who was the caretaker to these cows. And so he was the one who discovered them dead this morning. And so as a result of that, the owner of the cow requested the caretaker in question to cut all of the tails of those dead cows as a means of proving to him that, yes, these are the 36 cows, the tails of the 36 cows that died. And so that was done on yesterday.
But why did he do that? So, well, let me hold you there. When, we heard that authorities would have gone there to know exactly what killed the cows. Why did he even touch them?
So the caretaker have said that he was instructed by the owner of the cows to cut the tails.
And so he did that.
Yes, so he did that. And that was on yesterday, just before they left the spot.
So the people carry the cows, the looters carry the cows, and what are people saying? Are they eating the cows without testing them?
So that's the main reason why they butcher those cows. The main reason was to eat them, and that is why now people are afraid for the fact that we don't know yet the cause of death of those cows, and so to have people consuming them is something very scary as we speak.
So the people who took the cows, they are not afraid to think. What do they think? What are they saying? What do they believe killed the cows, for which they were brave enough to, loot the cows?
So
the dead cows.
Majority of them have said the cows died as a result of the lightning strike, because there was this heavy downpour of rain, during which time there was this lightning strike. So they are attributing the death of the cows to the lightning strike. That's one. Two, others are also saying even if the cows did not die as a result of lightning struck, whatever might have killed those cows, once you have that meat and you cook it properly, you don't want to get affected. And so that's what other people think. But on the larger scale, there are people who are very much afraid, not knowing exactly what the cause of death is.
Where exactly did this happen in Lo-Fi County?
It happened in Foya, along the road from Foya City to the Medicoma border. There's a town along that road. I'm told the town name is Badi, and so it's right in that area. But other information we're getting also is that the locals in that area have, over the time, complained about these cows destroying their crops. And it went to the extent of even accusing the district authorities that they are siding with the owners of the cow. And because for every time they lodge the complaint, they don't see any action be taken. And so they've been complaining time without number.
So people believe that they kill the cows because the cows are, destroying their farms? Is that one
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one thing people think. And the reason, some of the justification that they are giving for their thought is that the fact that these locals have rushed to butcher these dead cows for consumption. It means they know very well that these cows did not die as a result of any kind of a dangerous thing that they might have consumed or all of that. So people are having that thought. That's why they were warned seriously not to go around these dead cows.
But they still did that. So the last question I have for you, the person who owns these cows, does he have just 36 cows, or he has even more than 36 and only 36 were dead?
He had more than 36. Latest report we've gathered this evening is that he had a total of 55 cows at that spot, right? And so
is he planning to relocate?
Well, we haven't independently spoken to the owner himself, except from the caretaker. So the caretaker is saying to us that he will have to get words from his boss before taking any other action as it relates to what next to do.
Okay, Tano, thank you so much for that information. Tano is our correspondent in Lo-Fi County. They're talking about the cows. So many things said. The people have, looted the cows, the dead cows. They've taken them away to eat them. They say the guy who owned the cows, has refused to take the cows away because they're disturbing their farms. And then lightning struck, so they assume that. But again, the fact that people right in the same town will know that 36 cows are dead, and then overnight they loot them just to eat them, then I don't know. But again,
it's horrific.
It's scary for me because you really don't know exactly what killed the cows.
Exactly.
They're just assuming.
And you need to be that conscious of your health, because there were 50 plus cows, and 36 are dead. So there could be a possibility if all of those cows were together, the lightning would have killed all of them. So
but the possibility also is that
so what we need to do, we just need to be skeptical. We just need to be mindful. Come on, eating a meat of cow in your life, which one do you prefer?
So maybe the people know exactly that. Maybe they kill the cows because the cow owner will not leave. They will not take his cows from their area. It's possible they could do that. Yeah. Who knows? Well, it is what it is. That's what's happening in Lo-Fi County. Another trending issue is controversial political talk show host Henry Costa to break silence on his sour relationship with UP stand-up bearer Joseph Boakai after he was left in the cold with Boakai's failure to choose him as running mate. This has since left Costa and his ALP political godfather, Benoni Ure, frustrated. And we look to see what Mr. Costa has to say on Monday in the midst of rumors that he, Costa, also wants to run for president. Drama can't finish in Liberia.
A very serious drama because Mr. Costa, who was a very strong critic, who aced a very strong critic of this government. And
because I've been a critic of everybody.
Yeah.
He criticized even the
All right,
Joseph Boakai, who he carried all around and wanted to be his running mate.
And I was just trying to synthesize his, political career. I think he's trying to miss track because he is going after himself. He's going after everybody. He went after Benin Ayure quite recently. He and Benin were wearing too friendly. I can remember the last birthday before this gone birthday of Benin Ayure. Mr. Costa did not even reach Mr. Yure. So
Costa and Yure friendship cannot break. That's
it can break, but
we'll wait to see what and hear what he has to say about the ruling. That's the Unity Party standard bearer. But to close up on trending issues, the Unity Party standard bearer was in Bone County today.
Exactly.
And he said he went there to thank the people of Bone County. If you have the pictures, put them on the screen. And he made some comments in Bone County. And some of those comments that he made in Bone County were just laughable comments, critics say, because Mr. Boakai, or former VP Boakai, when he was in Lofa County, in Bone County today, he was telling the people that he has come to rescue Batawi Waterfall.
Exactly.
And look at Batawi Waterfall. How does it look today? It should be a tourist attraction.
How did he leave it?
That's the $1 million question. It should be a tourist attraction, but it's underdeveloped. So like you said, how did he leave it? He was just in power 12 years back. He stayed in power for 12 years because he was a vice president. Is it like trying to appease the people of Bone County? He talked about the Bone County Technical College. Like, seriously? How will you say that? When this Bone County Technical College even started under your, government, and there was this hula baloo about monies being stolen, and the college, was not up to standard. They couldn't finish that one college. I remember covering the legislature. There was this big and serious confusion amongst all of those lawmakers from Bone County as it relates to the Bone County Community College. And that was under Joseph Yuma Boakai's
vice
government. He was, a vice president, and he would say such a thing. And he went further to talk about, the Salif market in Bone County. And he says he has come to rescue the Salif market. Like, seriously? He said the market, you see, the market there is still over there. Nothing has happened to it. Don't you want us to finish the market? Yeah, right. So this is what we've come to rescue. He said he will pave the Kokoya to Grand Bassa Road if he is president of Liberia. That's what he has come to rescue. Like, seriously? How?
He talked about a lot of things. He also talked about, the necessity of celebrating the Independence Day. He's talked about, his children, going out of the country or staying in the country,
he said celebrating it. He said, look, we're celebrating. We're in July, so we'll be 176 years as a country. And look at the country, no development. Who should be talking about development in this country at this time? Joseph Boakai should be telling us what he has done, what he did, how he left the country development-wise. And you are now, after you stay in power for 12 years, after 6 years, you have another government in power. You want to unseat that government. And the only thing you can tell the people of Liberia is that, look at the country, and you were just there in power. So what did you do in 12 years?
If he talked about development, he should be talking about the plan, the template that brought forth the layout of the country. That's what he should be talking about, because you have 12 years of leadership. The first thing, you have 12 years of leadership, and your boss promised the Liberian people that within 6 months, the entire Monrovia will be electrified.
We didn't see any
12 years, the entire Monrovia was electrified. So if you talk about development, you talk about the necessity of celebrating, this is
why do we celebrate 176 years for the
when
country
there's no
the
development?
way it is?
So you have 12 years of leadership.
What did you do?
I listened to him, and he said one time, he said, every time we went to the cabinet discussion, and when we are done with cabinet meeting, I always told the president, I said, Madam President, implementation. You sat there 12 years of your leadership as vice president, and you kept saying implementation, and you did not see any implementation. Now you're coming back, resurfacing to take the mantle of authority of the country, and you're talking about road connectivity. You're talking about a deployable condition of the country. You're talking about all of these detestable things.
He says, look at the streets of Banga. Look at how they look. That's why we're coming to rescue the country. Really? Like, seriously, you're talking about Patawi Waterfall, right? But I don't know whether he has even been to Patawi Waterfall of late, because Patawi Waterfall, the revival of that place can be accredited or attributed to John T. Richardson and his wife. And Patawi Waterfall now, under President Weah, looks far, far better than it was 12 years under Joseph Yuman Boaka. And how will he even say that at this time? Is he trying to appease the people of Bone County? But the people of Bone County are not stupid.
It's conflicting.
They know exactly what is happening at, Patawi Waterfall. And you will come and say, look at Patawi Waterfall. It should have been a tourist attraction. Sorry. Agreed. Nobody's doubting that. But you should have done something, and then we say, okay, then the CDC-led government should pick up from there. But it was a mess when you left it.
But then we ask the question, if these people are honest about this thing of the rescue mission, but then it's simple. Now, what was the Unity Party improvement when it comes to tourism? Mr. Boaka should be telling the Liberian people about, their investment in tourism. Now, you talk about the Patawi Waterfall. The Patawi Waterfall at about this present moment,
far better than the way you left it.
At about this present moment, you should be talking about all the creativity when it comes to tourism, when it comes to education, when it comes to road connectivity. Some of these substandard roads that were created or that were paid
under your
government that have already, that are already lying in deplorable conditions. And you should be talking about something substantive and monumental.
How is he going to even talk about the streets of Banga when this government paved the streets of Banga? And he is brave enough to stand in Bone County and tell the people about the streets of Banga. Like, seriously, how does former Vice President Boaka think that the people of Bone County will not know who did the streets, of Banga? He says, look at the streets of Banga. Then he says the presidential palace is lying in ruins. Like, seriously, how did you leave that presidential palace? He said the Phoebe Hospital has not improved. You stayed in power for 12 years. You didn't do anything. He says Gonagali spent all his time, the late Dr. Gonagali. Spent all his time, making that place better, but it hasn't improved. It's such a shame.
But what was the astronomical impact when it comes to health, impartation in the country? You talked about most of their government officials and ministers at about that time, when they were in the 12 years of administration, they did not prioritize the health sector of the country. People lie in ruin in these different health facilities around the country, and they flew the planes and went out of the country for common headache and cold. And these are the deceptive statements of these politicians, Titi.
It's very, very sad. Honor Joseph Yuman Boaka. That is why we will not stop at any length. Next week, we will have the improvement that has happened at the JFK Hospital. We will have it right here for you to see online. And we will compare what Joseph Yuman Boaka, during his 12 years of the Liberian presidency or leadership, what they did. If you were talking about health, you want to compare what you did in 12 years to what this government that is going 6 years has done, then it's a shame. He says something that I really I was like, what? He says, they send their children abroad to go to school. The only thing that they're doing here is introducing kush for our children. How Mr. Boaka is going to even say that? He was vice president and sent his son to China to study. His son was in China studying. He was doing, that's what he wants to do, music. He comes back and what does he do? He has a nightclub. At that nightclub, the children are taking coach. So what is he doing about that?
How well does that promote any good civility? Improve the youthful population of the country.
He wants to put it on this government, but it's a difficult thing because your son runs a nightclub where he is also they're doing kush there. So what are you doing to stop that? And he says, this is why we want to rescue the country. I was disappointed because I didn't hear anything that the Unity Party wants to do. The economy, how do you want to change the economy?
Exactly.
How do you want to better the economy? Is what the people of Bone County want to hear. He says he went to say thank you to them. What is his party's platform is what he should be telling the people of Bone County, rather than saying that, we want to make you civilized. We're going to build hotels here and make you civilized. It is saying that the people of Bone County are not civilized. Is that what the former vice president is saying?
So probably the former vice president is actually saying that he left him uncivilized, and he's still seeing them uncivilized. But if you left them uncivilized, you were given a 12-year responsibility to take them from being uncivilized to civility, right?
And you didn't do that.
And you did not do that.
Like
so how can you make these statements, these
unfounded statements? Look,
statements?
You say Bouakar's regime, Ellen Bouakar regime, armed robbery was a matter of the day. And any Liberian will know that and knows that for a fact.
But in the 90 minutes of the regime, what did the boss say? She said her government failed to tackle corruption. She confirmed the inability and the ineffectiveness of a government when it comes to tackling corruption. So that means that statement sanctioned the proliferation and multiplicity of corruption in the government. So what are you telling us at about this time?
Well, Ambassador Bouakar says that, this government got 3 more months and to be in power. And after 3 months, he's going to take charge, and then he's going to rescue the Salif market. He's going to make the people of Bone County civilized. He's going to make Batawi waterfall better. But, we will have we'll talk about this, another time, where, we can have people from the ruling establishment to talk about these things. We'll play, verbatim what he said. And then we will have people from the ruling establishment to debate it, yes, and talk about it.
Certainly.
We will leave it at that, and then we take your calls. At least we will take 5 calls.
Yes, 5
on trending issues, and then we bring in our guest who is already waiting to join us this evening on Open Conversation. So the number to call is 0800514-096, and you can make your import. Tell us what you make of what's trending in Liberia today. All of the things we spoke about, it's your time. Let's take our very first caller. Good evening.
Good evening, CCG and your colleagues.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you very much. William Jadiburu, local defender, Nigeria from Rankawa.
Let's hear you.
Let me say thanks ever so much. That you were saying, deceptiveness and trauma is too much in Liberia. Someone who was president for the Senate stands the same concerning agreement. Now today that is hampering this government. Other people say no job. But now we want to get job all around, but they never stand it correct. They book us all our concerning agreement. Yes, people run and President Wena is talking to the people to bring claim. I'll be on the upload the ship that will be coming. You see? They stand concerning agreement, there's nothing better for you and myself.
Yeah.
That's that. Then you talking, say you want to rescue. How will you rescue this country?
Okay.
Thank you. Your money you use it. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you.
Let's take this other caller. Hello.
Hello.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Pastor G. calling from Lokita.
Go ahead.
Let's hear you.
You are listening to you carefully. Look, so like old age, some when they old, you can look at, they call them girl. Yeah, so like old age, because I can see the platform he can't win now, because he's talking about role facing people, facing roles around here. So the old man, I don't know, you have to go to Bonka to insult the people of Bonka.
The means the people not civilized.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're not civilized. It's that.
Thank you. Let's hear this other person. Hello.
Hello? We're not getting that
This person is... Okay, let me take them off. Good evening. So call us on 0880514-096. This is Open Conversation on ELBC Radio and online. Let's take this caller. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. I want to thank you for the conversation this evening.
Let's
My
hear
name
you.
is David Gallagher Wise, and I'm phoning from the Veterans Bureau in Bagube Avenue in Toho community. As you know, that people, Joseph Nima Boakai will not be taken seriously in this country any longer. Because it's not the type of leader that any longer fits in the future of this country. Joseph Nima Boakai is no longer part of the future of this country. So when we are discussing the future of Liberia, we will not take interest in discussing Joseph Nima Boakai.
Okay.
Lastly, the issue that happened with the 20 close to 36 cow like that, it is sickening. And so disheartening that people who do not know what killed those cows, they get how overnight, how Ebola came to this country. Two monkeys and other animals that they don't know those kind of sicknesses that those animals carry, but they will just eat it because they want meat. So it's very much unfortunate. Thank you for affording me the opportunity.
You're very welcome. We got one more call to take, and then we go to our guest. Hello. Hello. Move away from your radio, please.
Hello.
You're live. Tell us your name and where you're joining us from.
My name is Benedict Oliver. I'm calling you from Mapakri.
Let's hear you, sir.
Yeah. Today, you were in Lofa during the country tour, and the good thing you traveled through all up to Foya. So how many hotels you saw in Foya?
I didn't even see Joseph Walker's house in Lofa County because he's the only house I know that say he's renting a place. I went to his house in Wansonga where his mother used to live and he used to live. That lie in New Ruin. So I don't know.
Our current boat say when the fire ready to burn, it can start from where you pull it, right?
Of course.
So can you imagine the number of hotels that are in Lofa? Before you move to Bon County, like you build hotels there. I got one to tell you how many hotels you saw in Lofa. Because we got to build a hotel in Lofa before Bon County.
Obviously. Yeah. But anyway, the former vice president wants to make the people of Bon County more civilized. They're not civilized, so he wants to make them civilized.
More than the Lofa people?
Yeah, more than the people in Lofa.
No, like you build a hotel in Lofa first. Not be enjoying it there before Bon.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so my final caller, and then we're done.
Yeah, what's up?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, how you doing?
We're good.
Okay, my name is Aiba M. Kroma, calling for F5 District 9.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, this to say to my Nami President George Okupe, we are that actually he's doing well, but one of my brothers that left the line, the first caller said the.
Are you there, Ayuba? Okay, he's off the line, and we're not taking calls on this issue again. That's how we wrap up trending issues for tonight. Do we have our guests ready? Okay, so
let's just bring her on.
As we told you, we have with us this evening former Manserato superintendent and now running mate to Dr. Clarence Monimba on the Liberia National Union ticket. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. How are you, Titi?
Is she hearing us? Is she muted?
I'm hearing you.
Madam Kwan, are you hearing us?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Hello? Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, hearing you now. Okay. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, and you?
We're wonderful. It's good to see you.
Are you getting her good? She's very low.
Yeah, she's kind of low anyway. I think it's from our end. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. And how are you?
We are good. It's been a while. Where have you been?
I've been right here in Manserato County.
She's still kind of low. Yeah.
kind of low this is. Low. Come on, Jesse. You're not hearing me.
We're hearing you, but you really, really
Very
low.
low.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Microphone. Maybe
Yeah. I think you're getting better now.
Hello.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
Is it
you're
okay?
good.
Yeah,
Very okay.
very good.
Okay.
Good. So I was asking, where have you been? It's been a while.
Oh, I'm here. Yeah, doing whatever I can do to make things better. Working with the young people, working with church, working with the guys in the ghettos, and so on and so forth.
Mm, really? Okay, so let me just start up with asking you this question. You are the running mate to Dr. Moniba. What is
All
the
right.
motivation? What was the motivation behind your choice of going with Dr. Clarence Moniba and not former Vice President Boakai, whose administration you served in the past, or the CPP slash ANC of Alexander Cummings? We want to know what was the motivation beyond or behind your choice.
Well, different many reasons. Looking at the political situation in our country, we are looking for a balance in the process. You know, where we find ourselves right now, our country actually needs people who would really transform the country. So we had interest earlier in the Boyka Cummings administration, but it didn't work as it should have. So we thought, well, anything that is divided won't really hold. So the best alternative would be to just relax ourselves. And until Dr. Moniba came in and looking at his platform, we have similar vision. So we thought it appropriate to follow along with him and ensure that we give the Liberian people another alternative.
Hmm. So I heard you say that, you were first thinking about, going along with the Boakai
Merger.
Cummings.
Exactly.
Okay, you're talking about the CPP, right?
No, the whole issue, whether it was CPP or not, but the Boyka Cummings ticket, we were all looking for this one round thing and trying to see if it would have worked, but that just really didn't work. So we then finally joined Clarence because of his platform.
Okay, so we get to that platform that Dr. Moniba had that convinced you to follow him. But my second question then to you will be that please tell us what is the defining role of the president and vice president, and what kind of vice president are you seeking to become?
Well, that was the first thing we discussed, and everybody knows the role of the president. The president is the head of the state, and the vice president is to assist the president, and that is what we're going to do: assist the president in every form and manner. We know that our country has a lot, especially after 6 years of all the way we find ourselves with the hardship, economy to the bare bottom, and everything is a problem right now. We can assure you that with the Moniba Crown ticket, it's going to be a different definition of, not different in a sense, but it's going to be more active than what we've seen before. And I say this to say that it's becoming a real thing now because many people have seen the vice presidential position as one that is just, you are just there. And that's not the kind of vice president I want to be. So when Dr. Moniba and I first talked, those were issues that he raised, that he wants an assistant who would actually assist him, where line ministries and agencies or even autonomous bureau will be under the office of the vice president, so that the president can focus more on finding the kind of funding we need to rehabilitate our country.
So then, before my colleague comes in, you say you want to solve the problem of the country. How do you intend to do that? Because you said we're in so much problem. How do you intend to do that?
By transforming it in many ways. First, the agriculture sector. we want our country to be self-sufficient in food production. We want to ensure that every county will have some means of agriculture project. If we have rice here, we have vegetables there, and just a different kind of thing that we normally use to keep us, strong and healthy. Make sure that our agriculture sector is not just limited to maybe the regular farming, but rather a mechanized type of agriculture, so that we can produce as we should as a nation, and that it will even get to the point where we have to export. So that would be one way, because whenever people talk about the GDP, it shows that our country is producing. Unfortunately, in Liberia, we are almost not producing really anything. Maybe we are producing, but whatever we are producing is not sufficient, with the exception of rubber. We don't see rice. We have to import rice. We have to import chicken. We have to import almost everything. It gets to a point sometimes we even import pepper into this country. So if we can get our country to be self-sufficient in food production, that would be one of the means in which we would greatly help our country.
Great idea. Fine. How do you intend to make Liberia self-sufficient in food production? Because most times we hear the politicians come out and say, we don't have food. We're not sufficient in, we don't produce our own food. But there is a mechanism, there is a way to do it. And you think this government is not doing it. So what is the way out? How are you going to do that?
The first and foremost thing is to bring the different kinds of machinery that will be able to, that we'll use in the various counties. Like, let's assume you want to plant rice. You can't get few farmers with cutlass. It shows you're not going anywhere. So you have to get machines to be able to work those farms, so that at the end of the day, you can produce as much as you want to. And if you start to do that, the money we spend to buy rice, import rice into this country, we won't need that anymore. And it will help in a very great way. We have 15 counties. We have so much land. We have so much water. We can use it and make sure that those counties are able to produce.
You were in public service during the Ellen Boakai regime. Why didn't you push some of these ideas?
Well, these ideas were pushed. I remember on one occasion, we had, I think, the Chinese coming in and talking about they wanted the swampland to produce rice. And every district within Montserrat County, we had ordered all our commissioners to make those land available, which we did. But we are limited in a way. When you are in government, everybody has his own role to play, and you play it to an extent. You see, on the football field, you have the goalkeeper. He can leave and go play midfield. So everybody plays at a certain point. So it left with the national leadership to enforce whatever it is. And we have the Ministry of Internal Affairs, under which the local government operates. So many other things may have caused it not to happen, but we didn't get any feedback from why it did not happen.
Okay, Madam, let me say welcome and good evening as well. I'm Washington.
Okay.
You talk about your assistance as vice president if you happen to win the 2023 elections. But I want to ask you this quick question. What do you make of the statement coming from Councillor Charlene Bromskin, talking about she's the most educated and independent vice presidential running mate than all of you people running for the office of vice president? And what experience do you bring to the vice presidency?
Okay, first and foremost, let me extend my deepest sympathy to your family for the loss of your father. May his soul rest in peace. A great preacher of the gospel. And it's my prayer that God will comfort you and console the rest of the family.
Thank you.
Madam Bromskin has her own opinion. If I ask you what's the best radio station right now, you will tell me ELBC. Or what's the best television station, you will tell me LNTV. Another person will say it's okay. Another person will say this. Sometimes you see on Facebook and say, which the best school? And everybody writing his school. So everybody has his or her own opinion on who he or she thinks, the person is. But I would say, since we came on the scene, it seems to be the issue of a vice president now is becoming a serious issue. If somebody said they're the most educated, if everybody will be given the opportunity, and we pray and hope that when we are given the opportunity, we will show that we have the experience, we have the expertise, we have, and we are one. I am personally one vice president that will be very accessible, because I've had a track record of working with people in the port industry in the county, at the county level. There is nowhere in Montserrado County that I've never been. There have been a lot of interaction with the ordinary people, with the students, with those who are traditional leaders, and so on and so forth. So I would say I am saying that I'm the most accessible vice president. I'm one of the vice president. I'm the only vice president maybe will be that you will see out there enforcing this thing about our campaign and making sure that comes 2023 October, Dr. Clarence Monimba, calling his late father's name, Dr. Clarence Monimba will rise to the position of leader in this country.
But I didn't ask you. I said, what do you bring to the table? What's your experience?
My experience with governance, good governance.
Exactly. What's your experience?
Yes.
What your contribution to Liberia? You served this country. What did you contribute to this country?
Oh, so much. One of what I did was trying to restore sanity to the streets. When we realized a lot of our children were on the streets, we got involved to that extent and tried to get our kids off the street and get them back in school. Not just as a superintendent, but as a church institution or faith-based institution, we have contributed towards the educational sector. We have one of the best schools in this country, and I mean one of the very best. We have, even at our schools, we have vocational training programs so that by the time you graduate from high school, you have some skills. And that surprisingly was part of Dr. Monimba's platform, where he wants at least students coming out of high school should have at least 2 years of vocational training. We've contributed towards the health sector. We ran a clinic. We ran one of the premium pharmacies in this country that brought the very best of drugs. If you remember the one on Benson and Johnson Street, Broad and Johnson Street, we did a lot of medical.
Is that a private clinic?
The clinic, yes, that was private. We also insured. Yeah, that was private. Now I was talking about the church aspect. For the county, there was a clinic erected in Mount Coffee Township, where the health need was very serious. There was also a time there was a serious cholera outbreak in Louisiana, and the county made some donation to that place, and we ensured that the facilities that were being used, at the time was deplorable, especially at a health center. They didn't have latrine or toilets, and we ensured that was erected. We also erected a clinic and nursing quarter at Bondwell behind Riggs Institute, and the list goes on.
Okay,
we did so much. Yeah,
a bit, ma'am, with what you talked about during the Ellen Boakai regime. I hear you talk about getting children off the street. You failed to get children selling off the street, and there was no sustained program. What will you do differently when your party is elected or your standard bearer is elected? Because I remember during the Ellen Boakai regime, there was this policy, and you were the superintendent of Montserrado County. And during that time, no school-going child should have been in the streets selling during
exactly
hours.
Right.
That was never sustained. Children were still in the street.
Exactly. Yes. So let me answer to that. You know, I have an older relative who said that many hands make less work. That was a very robust decision that I took to ensure that those kids were off the street. And to an extent, I did a whole program. I had a kind of people to work with me. I had volunteers in the community. But sadly, and that's why we're going to make the difference, because if I'm at the helm of authority, I can assure you nobody will be able to sabotage what we are going to do. We plan a program. Well, 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute, ma'am.
You are
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I was the head of the county, and all I could do was to do the requisite thing to put the system into play. Now, let me explain further. If you remember quite well, when we decided to first launch that program, we called it Back to School. And I had a little motto that children in school, parents at work, and violators to be punished. That we received a serious, and I couldn't do it alone. So I needed the requisite government institution support. One was the Ministry of Gender. And next was the Ministry of Justice that had to do with children, women and children. And I think the Ministry of Health. I was just hindered in the process. When that pronouncement went on the air, we played our jingles, we got our sound system, we wrote all the schools. When we got the night before the program, the Ministry of Gender went and made a pronouncement and called off that program.
What did you do then, as superintendent? Did you come up to say, my hands are tied, I can't do this?
Of course I did. No, there's so much you can do and no more when you don't have absolute authority. That's a different thing. So the Ministry of Justice, they called a meeting, we went there and blah, blah, blah. Oh, where do we carry these children? I said, look, we have we have buildings in Benton. All we need to do, I don't have the opportunity to go and do the requisite things like doing the funding for it and all of that. Can the Ministry of Gender come? If you want to take over the program, I'm not looking for name, right? So could we just, go and renovate some of these structures? My home was personally used to keep a lot of these kids. And we got to some of the parents. Some of them listened, some of them didn't. There were kids who didn't even know who they were living with. It was a sad thing, but you see, when you try, and this is a spell that is all Liberia. Anybody who tries to do good, you are fought. And that is the reason why people are fighting the Grace Pan Clarence Monaba ticket, because they know we have the ability to do good.
Are you saying that there was a lack of political will to sustain the program on the by the Ellen Boaka regime?
By the requisite government ministry and agencies. So I could not discipline the gender minister. I could not stop the justice people. They gave all their reasons and excuses why they think, the big terminology used is we have to put mechanism into place. So when there's a pronouncement, everybody should take it.
Doing your job.
Come again?
Tell the president then that, I want to do my job.
Oh, the president did call them and instructed them, but people, when you are not before the president, you can do what you want to. It will be like every day, reporting and stuff like that. So eventually, we kept that program up for a long time though. We kept it up for a long time until the whole other Halabaru started. We kept that program up. There were a lot of kids that benefited. We had kids that went to school for the.
How many parents How many parents did you detain, for keeping their children in the streets?
Oh no, only the police. Now I'm not the police officer. I couldn't have done that. I would take them to the police station, and the police would handle it from that point. I took a little girl from the street at age 14. We found somebody for her to be with, because the sister had said, the mother was in Guinea, and we went to the ministry. Went to the police station. The Women and Children Union, they turned the child over to us. We gave her a parent. Or if you had just told me, I would have found some of the pictures, and you have seen some of the kids that would really help. But when the child was in the middle of school, this woman went for the mother and brought her to say she wants her child. So I told her, well, you have to go to the police. And because we had a backing of the police station concerning this particular child, there was no way that mother could have carried her. So when the child graduated from K, at 14, she entered K2. We had to do extra work with her, and she finally graduated from the K2 and went to first grade. So the mother came, made the man, went to the police station, and returned the child over. There was not much I could have done. That's not my child.
How many children benefited as a result? I don't know
how many what?
Children, how many children benefited from this program? Because you were the superintendent of Montserrat.
We had over 200. We had over 200 children. Over 200 children.
Is that enough given the number of children?
That may not be enough, but I can't do it alone. I'm just one person. TC. I can't do it alone.
The government then had no political will to make sure that the children were taken off the streets. You agree with me on that, right?
Come again?
That means the government then had no political will to get the children out of the streets, though there was a policy announced.
Well, that should have been the rule of every person who had the oversight over those kids on the street.
Can you work on it?
Yeah, I'm trying to hear you myself. I'm registering. I'm hearing this noise.
There's a phone ringing near you there.
That's that one I've sent off. Cut the phone off.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Where were we? I play my role. Listen, I play my role. I play my role, and I play it well. I played it very well. I did what I could do with my own funding, with my own personal resources. I put over 50 kids in school. I can tell you that for free. Yes, I did.
You shouldn't have done it on your own if the government was,
I'm a humanitarian as well. So if the government didn't want to do it, my passion for children, TT, is so very strong. I would even literally.
Vice president, you're gonna use your own money and not make sure
No. You said vice president. Vice president is a different situation. If you look at, let me tell you this, CD. If you look at the structure of local government, superintendents don't even have. Superintendent at my time, they didn't have even much control over their own county because of the way the law was structured. Everything you did, you have you had to do it under the Ministry of Internal Affairs. If I needed water, I had to go to Internal Affairs. My office don't have water. If I needed stationery, I had to go to Internal Affairs.
And all we were doing, your government.
Oh, of course. We were one superintendent to be elected in this country. That we should have been done. There was a whole policy and program we came up with, and the final draft of that document was done. Superintendents by 2014 should have been elected. But where is it today? We are still here.
So you're going to make sure that superintendents are elected when you
are elected? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I will work along with Dr. Moneyba and will ensure that superintendents are elected.
Okay, good. So with your husband being a pastor, how are you going to deal with politics given the separation of state and religion? Don't you think it's going to compromise your neutrality, as we saw in the case?
Finish it.
As we saw in the case of Reverend Samuel Reeves of the Providence Baptist Church in the past.
What happened to him?
Let's leave. If you don't know what happened to him, let's leave it. Isn't that going to compromise your neutrality? You are minister of the gospel. Your husband is a pastor, and then you're vice running mate. How are you going to work?
No, not at all. Not at all. It won't compromise anything. You cannot 100% separate the church from the state, because the state actually feeds from the church. That's why the Bible says when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. Because you're going to rule, you're going to give godly counsel. You're going to rule in a way that you want things transparent. You want to do things the right and appropriate way. So I don't think it's a compromise. I don't think there will be any compromise. Yeah.
Okay, madam, there is this strange thing that happened in the politics of our country that a lot of people wouldn't do. I want to believe that that Dr. Clarence Moneyba is a bit younger than you are. Am I correct?
Of course.
Okay. Of course. If that is correct, then I want to know what makes you to subject yourself to a younger man like Dr. Moneyba to be able to, find yourself on a political ticket when other people, like specifically the CPP, could not, sustain this political unity.
Oh, Liberia is a country that needs Dr. Clarence Moneyba. Liberia is a country that needs Chris Brown. One good reason would be one good thing I can tell you is this. There's a saying that the age of Methuselah had nothing to do with the wisdom of Solomon. David was a very young boy when he went on the field. His brother had the structure, they had everything that they needed to show how they could have been this great king. But after the prophet Samuel tried to figure it out, they weren't the king. None of them was the king. And he said to Jesse, "Do you have yet another son?" And Jesse said, "Well, I got another little one somewhere there in the field." And Samuel said, "I will not sit until I see the king." Dr. Moniba has the skills, he has the ability. Everybody I talked to concerning Dr. Moniba had told me he's a plain guy, he's a straightforward guy, and he's a guy to work with. But we don't think this is the time. Times and chances have been given to all men, and it depends on what you do with your time. You get the result out of it. So it doesn't really matter to me of age. And I think I will be a better guidance in the process because of my wisdom. So when we bring all of those together,
you think he will listen to you? Think he will listen to your?
Of course, he will listen to me. He is listening to me already. The thing is not whether he listens to me, because I'm not going to give him wrong pieces of advice. Number one, we discuss issues, and we discuss issue before we even go forth to do anything. And I'm sure that relationship is going to continue. I need to get a clock to my phone. We sure that relationship is going to continue.
So what mantra are you and your standard bearer running on, considering that others are on Fix It, Rescue It? What's your mantra?
Roommate.
Nothing. You know, I'm the kind of person who don't like what everybody does. Everybody this and everybody that. No, we are just running on a ticket and with our platform for transformation. And what we want and desire is a new Liberia. You know, we had our pronouncement, and people were saying that, oh, they got this, that, and the other. So what would be the name of this team? And I said, we don't need a name. We need to fight and become. When you become, then you are named already. So we are not interested in the name. If people want to call us name, it will be their prerogative. But for us, we are not looking for any name.
How possible is that? If you don't give yourself names, people are not going to call you names. So what's your take on the divided opposition taking on the incumbent popular President Weah?
What is my what?
What's your take on a divided opposition taking on the incumbent?
Yes, and one good thing I know, Clarence was not part of the CPP, okay? And the only thing I can say, a kingdom divided cannot stand. And that's principle, you know. Politics without principle is a disaster. People won't believe the principle until it happens. So we all have to be, careful. If we can unite, when we sing our own national song that says, "In union strong, success is sure," and we divide ourselves, then we are simply saying what we wanted to succeed in is already divided.
Does that mean that, if we went to elections and there was a second round, you're not going to collaborate with any other political party because
when
already divided?
No. We can't say we won't collaborate. It depends on our own arrangement and looking at the policy. At the end of the day, we want to succeed. We cannot be Liberians and we see two parties and fold our hands and say, "Oh, we are not going to participate in it because we are better than they." No, I don't think that's the right route to go.
Is it about you succeeding, or it's about you coming forth with the right, people to unseat the incumbent leadership? Because I hear you say we're not going to sit down and fold our hands. So then, will it be about the Liberian people now, or it will be about you people, coming together? It
will always be. If it's about me, then I won't be here. If it's about me, I won't be here. If it's about my standard bearer, Clarence, he won't be here. Well, at the end of the day, we have a law. If you got 50 plus 1, you win the elections. If you don't have, there's a second round. Obvious. That is obvious. Anybody should think for the better. So whatever is the best option is what we all will work towards.
The best option for your party or the best option for Liberia?
for Liberia. Liberia, it's not about me. That was saying it's about me. I won't be here. I know Dr. Money, but I won't be here either.
I'm asking that question. You
Yeah.
are already not collaborating with any other party. It's about
Right.
you, right? Running to win elections. And if you don't win the election
Right.
and we went to a second round, you think the best thing to do is to collaborate. So then why don't you collaborate now and you know, and go against the incumbent president? You don't want to do that. You are doing it
If
on
somebody
your
want to,
if you went
no,
to a second
Mama.
round, you want to join forces to unseat the incumbent president. So then what are you telling the Liberian people? At that time, it will be about what?
It will be about Liberia. It is about Liberia even right now because this party, the Liberian National Union, was never part of any collaboration. Our country does not call for two-party government. Two-party is now a two-party state. More besides, our constitution says what your age should be, and that's it. So whether you are 100 years old, or you are 30 years or 35 years old, you have the right to run. Now there are many political parties, and everybody has his own platform. If your platform, if we were part of a collaboration, I don't think we'll be out of it.
Dr. Moniba, who you
Madam
are running,
Khan.
no, I know what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Moniba, who you're running along with, has no standing public service, no record of a public service.
Is that what you know, or is it what you heard?
Tell us the otherwise.
Come again?
Tell us the otherwise, because we don't know him.
I like you, Titi. I like you. You're very smart. Dr. Monima worked for the government for 10 years. So I don't see why you say he has no record. He works for the Ministry of State. He works for the Liberia Electricity Corporation. He was on most of the different agreement. He was out there looking for funding with the hydro. Yet now at Mount Coffee, he went for that funding. He negotiated for it.
For that one,
the Mount Coffee hydro. Mount Coffee hydro plant. It was just little after I left government. I can't give you all the years, everything exact now. But it's known. It's known. Even the RIA, the Roberts International Airport, he was also involved with that. So it's just good sometimes to just check the track record, and then you can.
When you say he was involved with the RIA, what do you mean? What was his specific involvement?
Negotiating for fundings. He did most of the negotiation. Well, I think it'll be good to get Dr. Moniba on board now, because all the penny details. At least I've told you, say he wasn't. You say he wasn't involved in the government and blah blah. And I told you he's been in government for 10 years. He also worked for the Liberia Electricity Corporation.
So he negotiated for what? Funding for what?
I thought I answered that already.
I'm not sure I got that.
Which one of them you're referring to now? LEC, for the meters, for the poles, for the what?
Airport.
For the building of the airport. The funding for the money to build that terminal.
Okay, you said Dr. Moniba negotiated for the funding.
Yeah, he was one of those.
He negotiated, or he was one of those who negotiated?
Come again? I don't know why they keep sounding like that.
He negotiated, or he was one of those who negotiated?
Dr. Moniba negotiated for fundings for the Rawa International Airport, for the hydro. He worked with LEC on a board. He served as Minister of State with a portfolio, and most of the president's special projects he handled it.
What time are we talking about here?
No, I can't give you all the time now. At least I can say that much.
Okay. In the event where you were, the VP to Dr. Moniba and packed, and you became a packed car, as someone said, will you walk away?
My car cannot be parked because I always will have the key. Why should, if I have an opportunity to move, I get in my car, start, and I'm on the track.
That is if you have an opportunity to move, right?
Of course, I will have the opportunity because this has been discussed. This has been discussed. This is something that we know. Look, Liberia is big. No one person can say, I will take all this burden, all this headache, and Dr. Monimba is not willing to go through all of that. He needs a helper to help him in the process. And
Okay,
this
so
is the helper.
okay, so Madam Helper. So I think we could.
Yes.
As
No,
a
no, no,
helper-
no, no. Ah, no. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na.
So okay, Madam
Mr.
Khan.
Mr. Tapper, I need no name.
Okay, Madam former Superintendent. Let's talk about this. Liberia has been one of the countries in Africa that has grappled with this issue of corruption. Can you tell a little historicity of your fight against corruption, and where have you fought corruption?
I know that would be a bottom line. You heard so much about it already. I really would think we just do it on our platform. I fought corruption. I fought it very hard. And I'm here today, and I'm willing and ready to fight corruption any day. When you talk about corruption, it can really stir me because, look, we have so much resources. We have so much resources. Our resources are so much that it could benefit every Liberian. We have one of the world's largest producing rubber plantation. And if you went to the bank for your money, they put a rubber band around it. You ever thought where they get the rubber bands from? They have them imported into the country. So are we thinking on these factory producing? Are we going to revisit some of our concessions to see that they meet the standard and be able to help in the way they should? So we got a lot to talk about, and those places where we see loopholes, we will fight to close them and make sure the proper things are done so that at the end of the day, each and every Liberian can benefit from the resources of this country.
Do you care to name and shame those people who are involved in corruption?
Of course. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. And that's the only thing that will stop it. The culture of impunity has lived on so long and needs somebody to read it, kill it and bury it. And I'm sure the Money Back Man team is willing for that.
What was your major encounters? Those corruption scandals, those government officials who may have come across you with some corrupt practices. What could you remember? Could you care to talk about some of them here today?
I was government officials that were corrupt. I was not the president or responsible to handle them. So the government officials that were corrupt needed to be prosecuted. I mean, that's the most I can say. And I was not the one to prosecute them.
Have you ever encountered any government official who probably may have come,
I know where you go in Washington. You want to talk about the lawmakers. Yes, they did corruption, and I fought them to the core.
Okay, let me ask you this question. When you say you fought them to the core, because leadership is all about ethics. So when you talk about fighting the lawmakers to the core, what do you mean? And I specifically want you to address yourself to this issue with you and former lawmaker Edward Ford.
I knew that would boil down to that. We've been on the back and forth. So what I will do for you, I will send you all the tapes, and then you can listen to it, and we can have a show. Because I really want you, if I have to discuss this going forward, that Titi, you listen to both of the tape recordings, listen to it very well, then you ask me questions. Because in that way, you will understand well, and I will be able to explain better. So can we do another show on that?
The Liberian
just
people,
on that.
The Liberian people who are listening to you tonight, ma'am, have not gotten closure on this whole issue. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for you to tell us exactly what happened. If you were to give me the tip to listen to that, I don't think it's been fair to, those who are listening. You could tell us, just sum up the case and say what.
Okay,
exactly.
let me just sum up. Let me sum up the case. Okay. If that will suffice, let me just sum it up, and then I think then going forward in the future we can give it. Is that okay?
Yeah, put a closure to that.
Okay. Okay, and I will close it for you and the rest of them. Okay. Okay, that's this issue of county development. You see, to explain it, you have to explain county development fund, social development fund. Social development fund was given by concessionaires, and they had a dedicated, excuse me, they had a dedicated fund committee. China Union funding was the main one, and they had committee responsible. They call it a PIU, Project Implementation Unit. They had a whole setup. They had a whole office. It was controlled under the Ministry of Internal Affairs. All we needed to do was to meet and say, this is what we want, and it should be implemented as per the law. Under the law, under the budget law, they had the, well, we had the county council. And during those meetings, under the county council, people from all the different districts supposed to meet and decide what they want. I'm from TTGPO's district. I'm the representative in that district. When the county council is held, I need to inform my commissioners or whoever in that district, please get X number of people to go and represent this district and say exactly what they want. When that is done, all those projects are listed, and at the end of the day, you have what they call it, either going through, if it's the PIU fund, it goes through that channel, through Internal Affairs, through the PIU. The only role of the superintendent was there to sign the voucher. And then that was the role I had to play. I was not principal A, I was not principal B, which was not too a nice thing. But when I took over, there was a moratorium on the money that they had in the account, similar scenario my predecessor. So those monies were in the account, and we had to have a county council, how the money should be used, blah, 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 and many other things started coming in. Lawmaker wanted this, they wanted that, they wanted the other. Last of it, they wanted tuition paid to students. And since I was the superintendent, I didn't have access to I was not signatory to the accounts. The PMC and development had to handle that. So they came out, oh, the students have been put out of school because they don't want to pay. I said, well, the most to do is to do my due diligence. If I see a list of 50 students for a particular school, no class, we don't know where class they're in, we don't know where grade they're in, no brochure from the school, then we decided to do some due diligence. At the end of the day, we found out 2 persons got the same listing and all of that. And they didn't really like, my too much checking on it. So it raised issue. One district won chair, but they say they're paying somebody's school fee. The other district said John Brown School, you go, you don't even see the school. So all of that became an issue, and I told them I was not signing. So it brought the whole noise, and we fought and fought and fought, and at the end of the day, we ended to Supreme Court, and at least I got my ruling in my favor. Is that not sure enough?
So the former representative the tip that was out, the you eat, I eat tip that was out.
And let me correct that, Titi.
Mm-hmm.
He said it's 2.9. He said it's 2.9, and we're working 2.5. I said, but it's over $400,000. What are we gonna do with it? He said, I eat. When you're conjugating the verb, it has to be specific, first person. So he used it very well. So I just wanted to put in that one. You eat. He said, I will eat some. You will eat some. The minister will eat some. I said, well, I'm scared to eat some. He said, I will eat your own. I said, you think the minister already won? He said, oh yeah, he waiting to play that ball. Oh, he had. And so on. And I can almost memorize that tip for you, but I don't think you have the time.
Former Representative Edward Ford.
Oh yeah.
He will eat his own, eat your own, and then the minister will eat his own.
Yeah.
So you didn't eat
So you didn't eat your own.
Titi, if I eat them, we would never come outside. We would have never come outside. We fought behind the curtain for almost a year.
Okay.
For almost a year. We really fought. But at the end of the day, since they were the powerful people, they prevailed.
So there are speculations that you and Dr. Moniba are being pushed into the race in this political arena.
That's a no before you land.
Let me ask my question, please.
Sweetheart, that's it.
So I have not asked my question. How do you know the answer?
I know I've been asked that question every time. Everybody asks the same question. I wish I had that kind of support.
So you're not talking different about former President Ellen Johnson story?
Nobody has pushed me into this race. Nobody has pushed me into this race. As a matter of fact, I choose what I wanted, and that's what I have.
Okay.
Nobody.
So let's open up the lines now.
Yeah.
Unless you have
Let me just ask you this quick question, madam. Quickly, you're vowing to be the next vice president, and Clarence is also vowing to be the next president of Liberia. Within a minute or two, or probably 3 minutes, can you tell me what are the five or the first three major pillars that you're going to be working on, your government, the first three major things in the country that will be so much cardinal and cogent to positively affect the lives of the Liberian people that your government is taking into a major priority?
Agriculture, healthcare, at least to have one good health facility in each county, each district, and using Jackson Dole and JFK as referral hospital, and specifically JFK as a teaching hospital. Now, if I say rural connectivity, you say, where do you get the money from? Over a period of time, that can be done. That will be part of our plan. And at least solar system, lighting system, solar to most of the rural parts and villages, so that at least these people can have the opportunity to current, electricity. We want to also
how
solar is one of the cheapest thing around the world right now.
How are you going to do?
We're going to use our resources. We're going to use our resources. We're going to make sure that the resources of this country is used for the intended purpose. Look, Titi, we have so much in this country. We have too much. We have, just give you in Singapore, the people in Singapore don't have water. They take water from Malaysia, they take it to Singapore, they purify it, and they sell it back to Malaysia. So much can be done, but you need the brains to do it. We get the technicians, we get the people, and our resources will pay for it.
That's what TT is concerned.
Yeah, but if you were to give us one success story of yours when you served as superintendent of this country, of this county, Montserrat, what would be that? What is your success story, when you served as superintendent?
One of my successful stories is made sure that we started putting health facilities in the rural counties. I just didn't only serve as superintendent. If you want to take my record back, and track record is one of the best things. I served as president of the Dock Workers Union, where I made huge impact in the lives of over 2,500 workers. So with that, I can assure you that I'm a people person. I'm very accessible, and I'm always there to fight for my people. I've done it before in the labor union. I served very well. I served the International Transport Worker Federation, our headquarters in London, with over 10 million members. So I've been a part of big institutions, and I know how it works. I'm a good administrator.
You haven't answered my question.
How do you want me to answer that question, sweetheart? What you want, Mama?
When it comes to, what can Montserrat celebrate you for when you served as superintendent? I hear you say
fighting corruption. Fighting corruption, Montserrat can celebrate me for that, because if those monies were used for the intended purpose, the children that walk 2 hours to go to school, I still got the drawings to those buildings, and it hurts me every time I see it. Children were walking for 2 hours to go to school.
Okay.
If you ask somebody, okay.
Yeah, let's go to the lines now, because we've got not much time. Let's go to the lines now and what those who are listening to Madam Kpang have to say. It's their time to ask you questions, and you can respond to them. Let's take our very first caller. Good evening. Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening. You're live.
Yeah, I'm Edmond Carr calling from Duboro.
Let's hear you.
I want for my aunt to please tell us, because she made a specific emphasis on Clarence Masekwe securing funding for the
Morning Bar
and the Rahway International Airport. Can she please tell us which institution that money came from? And then two, what are the three things that she want to do better than what George Weah is doing right now, so we can be able to change for George Weah to vote for her? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. She's listening. She will answer. Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, yeah.
Yeah, you're live.
Hello, this Councillor Zone.
Go ahead, Councillor.
No, I want to congratulate your guest. But one thing I'd like to advise is that what the government is doing, a picture like Red should see that they support the cause of this government. Because indeed, you can ask this government.
Sorry, you're
You're very low. You're very low. We're not getting you, sir. Hello. Good evening.
Thank you, today. Thank you. This is Yeltsin Polino by our phone informer. Community this evening, Bobotan East precisely. Thank you for the discussion. I want to say thank you to your guest, Madam Francis Evening. I listen to her. The fact must be spoken. Election is about numbers. I want to ask Madam Francis Evening. She coming as a fast running mate with that money back. And we understand, you spoke of Madam Bronskin. We understand the fact anybody who comes as a fast running mate should come with something on the table. Something, with the exception of the act, yes, you should come with numbers because the primary issue of the election is about numbers. Where is Madam Pan or stronghold
right?
that you can bring to the table to bring to that money back that we can say yes.
Okay.
This is the number.
She will answer that question. She will tell us where her stronghold is. Let's talk to this other caller. You got 30 seconds to the line, please. Just go straight to the point and ask your question. Hello?
I'm Dr. Van Dix, and I join you from Gibero.
Okay, let's hear you.
Yeah, I want to ask the lady still, why can't they give these men chance when they know that they will not win?
Okay, she will answer that question. Let's talk to this other caller. Hello? That person is off the line. Let's see whether we can get in this one. Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Father. I'm going to
Okay.
I don't want to say anything when someone is question. When you put one to empower in this people, nobody can do better than person here. People are saying opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of the program. Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, William W. Property Defender. I joined from Carwell. Let me say thanks to Madam Pan. You know, our explanation and exposé is good. You know, we know when we were here, she was superintendent. We saw what she did for correction at the 4 years. But 2023, we can't leave the country to give anybody else because we are doing whatever somebody are coming to the podium to do. We got a good job of room and I got infrastructure. And then I got our president is carrying on. So I think she can wait all support the president. Yeah, there. I got we can reach there 2029 with anybody else.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello. 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 Okay, that person is off the line. We'll take two more and then we'll hold the calls and then we'll come back to Madam Kwang. Hello.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, this is Phyllis from Surrey County.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm saying a very big thank you to your studio guest, but that name is very strange. After the thing in the Southeast. So how does she intend to convince the Liberian people on this part of Liberia?
Okay. She'll answer that question.
Yeah.
Hello.
Good evening, Kitty.
Good evening, sir.
And let me say good evening to your co-host and good evening to former superintendent. This is Chidi Dyer, a Liberian journalist, and I would like for your studio guests to plead to a fair appraisal of the past government and the present government as it relates to the fight against corruption, with the former president taking all of the blame, giving a name, King Kong, empire to corruption. So I would tell the crowd to do a fair appraisal of her.
Okay. Let me take this final call and then I come back to Madam Pan to address herself to some of your concerns. I think that person is off the line. So, Madam Kwan, you listen to the callers. There were few questions for you, and please address yourself to those questions.
The last guy, I didn't really get him well. I heard something about King Kong vampire or something.
Yeah, he was talking about you should do a fair appraisal with the fight against corruption with the Unity Party government, wherein your boss at the time, former President Shirley, said government corruption was a vampire in her government, and with this government, the fight against corruption, you should do a fair analysis on that. That's his
I
question.
think the difference between the two is that I was one of those who fought in the past government and fought to the last minute. The difference I see here is you only hear about the situation and nothing happens. You know, it's more of, you know, this person is corrupt, this is it. It comes out and nobody says anything about it. The issue of we will not win. Nobody has the full control over anybody. Winning, everybody comes into the race to win. Nobody who runs a race wants to be the loser. So we will win. I can assure you that we will win. Somebody asked how, what can I do? The best to do is to campaign and campaign and campaign. So the more you campaign, the better it is for you. I think a similar question of what the first person asked is the other person said, we don't have the number. And what is our stronghold? Well, I'm from Monserrato, born in Monserrato, but I also have connections in other counties where we have, you know, people there, institutions, schools. We have done so much in these counties, and we sure will get votes from everywhere. So our own duty is to continue to campaign until we reach October 10 and know that the battle is over. Another person said 3 things that we will do for the voters to turn from one party to them. To show, I mean, we earlier mentioned the agriculture project, schools that at least people graduating from high school should have vocational training, at least 2 years, so that you graduate with skills to be able to make a better life. We talk about healthcare, and we talk about road connectivity. We also talk about having solar system throughout the rural parts, at least basically. We also didn't mention that earlier, but how can we subsidize the poor when it comes the impoverished when it comes to healthcare delivery? How can government also look at those kind of things and be able to help maternal mortality, women go into the hospital to deliver, and all these other problems? What system can we put in place? Well, one system I can say we could put into place is for government to at least subsidize hospitals, that even if it's a private hospital, I'm not saying this because we run a private clinic though. So maybe for me, my clinic will not get someone else subsidy. That one I will be clear on it. So that, and I can tell you we have one of the best health facilities in this country right now. So that at least women going to deliver can have at least the first 6 months or from conception to delivery, so that you can make sure that a child does not die in the process. So basically, those are a few things I could wrap up with, and I'm sure I answered all the questions. I'm from Monserrato, so I think I answered that already.
Monserrato is a stronghold, right? So how are you going to sell your party to the people in other parts of Liberia, knowing fully well that, you know, Montserrat is a stronghold according to you, but
I have connections. I have connections in other counties. If to say my strategy right now, I can't give that because it's personal. It's something that we don't want to just let go like that. So we'll be in the fight.
Your strategy to get people on your ticket is something that you can let out right now?
No, Titi. That one I won't let out, Mama.
So when are you going to do that? When are you going to convince people with your strategy?
No, we will convince people. The people who work around us, we got our people in the county, so they got the strategy. They will run with it. But announcing it publicly on the radio, I can't do that.
But don't you,
Mama.
Don't you
No.
get it?
Do you have
It
structures in
sounds
all
funny, right? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we
Okay.
do.
Okay, let's take a few more callers.
There are some
Hello.
things. There are some things some people don't need to know, so don't let them know it.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Let's
Hello.
take a few more calls.
Yeah, hello.
You're live, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Amara M. Fofana. I phone in from Electoral District number 12, Maserado County.
Let's hear you.
And your co-host. And good evening to distinguished former superintendent and currently the political running mate of Dr. Modiba. And as a record, yeah, Superintendent Taha, I want to say this in the open. If you ask anybody who are active in politics back then, up to present, about Superintendent Taha's greater achievement, it was the fight against corruption. She stood up ground that the people of Masfado deserve better, and that country development money were not going to be eaten by lawmakers. Don't you lost our job? At the end of the day, it takes an astute woman to do that. So if she can do that at the cost of her family, that's the thing of it. If you gave her the matter of authority to make bigger decisions. So we just want to see we may have I'm not in any way a member of Dr. Modiba party. You getting me? I am a member, a bona fide member of the Labour Party of the King Councilor Tiawan Gongo. But again,
Okay.
yes, trust me.
Okay, Amara.
She can be trusted.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
welcome.
Yeah, I'm back on the line, Edmond. My last question was not answered. My basic concern was you talk about that the model are getting funding for RRA and the hydro. I wanted to know, or we want to know, which institution or organization they have a model made a negotiation for that hydro and the airport and the Rabat International Airport. We want to know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, ma'am, he said you didn't answer his question. Which
You say which institution?
Yeah, he made.
Well, I don't have all that details, but I know he was the footman on that issue.
What position he served then when he made that negotiation?
He was on the president's special projects.
As a member or the head of the president's
The
special
head,
project?
head. He was the head.
And he was negotiating as head of the president's special project with which
Yes, ma'am.
which country he negotiated with?
Come again?
Which country he negotiated with?
I told you I don't have all that details, but this is what I know. I know he negotiated these projects in all in part of the work that he had to do under the president's special project. I can get those information for you later if that will help you vote for me. Make sure TT's on my team and Tapa is on my team, and the young man who called in. There are some questions that you will ask, and I mean I don't have the detail to give you. It doesn't mean that I still don't believe what it is, but this is something that I know.
Okay, so earlier you talked about, a house divided against itself cannot stand. How will you address yourself to what is happening now and the opposition going against a popular president?
You mean all the oppositions?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would say Soldier talk for himself. I don't want to deal with all the opposition. I want to deal with my own party. We have a dream for the new Liberia, and we are in this fight to ensure that we can restore the sanity and dignity to our nation. So Dr. Modiba is a strong person. I'm a strong person, and we are in it together, and we are in it to win it.
But you're
going against,
right?
Come again.
You're a woman of the gospel. You just talked about a house divided against itself cannot stand. That's
Right. I was not in that house.
Yeah,
I was not in that house.
don't you think that is going to hinder your chances from becoming, from unseating the incumbent presidency, because the opposition is obviously divided?
Well, I was not part of the house, so I mean, I didn't divide them. We tried to put it together. It didn't work. So what will we do? Continue with those who didn't join it. Look, there is no law in our country that says that all the opposition should come together. If we have 100 political parties and we get to the polls, everybody will go and show his juice. And at the end of the day, who wins, win. In the process, people collaborate because they want greater force. But when you collaborate and you try to divide, it becomes an issue. I was not in the CPP, so I can answer for them.
Who was trying to divide? You say if you're in a collaboration and you try to divide, that becomes an issue. Who was trying to?
Yeah, but I don't know. I can say this for free, right? You are not a stranger in this country, neither am I. There was a collaboration with several political parties. At the end of the day, the Unity Party went one side, the ANC went one side, the Liberty on the other side, and everybody got to where we are. I think you could tell me it better, though.
Who divided who now? Who divided the opposition?
I don't know how they did that stuff. I was not in the camp. We just saw it on television. We heard it over the radio. It's divided, Titi. Don't you live here? Haven't you seen? Haven't you heard?
You said you wanted to go with the Boycott and
I said I was one of those who was pushing for the Boycott Cummings to come back together because they had a problem. There was a split, which you are not a stranger to. You know that very well. So when it split at the end of the day, everybody thought, look, if we must do this thing together, then it's best that we come back together. And everybody said, I think former Senator Balu had a whole program, Liberia for Boycott and Cummings. And that's it. We all tried. We all said, yeah, this will be the best thing. Let's go for it. Let's do it. Even at that, there were political parties that did not join the collaboration that were still standing to run. So it doesn't stop anybody else from coming to run.
Good. When are you having your conventions?
Soon it will be announced.
Are you going to put out, representatives in all of the districts?
That will also be announced. We are getting there. We are getting there, TT. We are getting there.
Are you having a?
I may not have a journalistic mind like you guys, but I sure know it will be announced.
Yeah, let your coach be a little bit, lower. Her voice, or his or her voice should be a little lower.
No, it's not a coach. That person is far from politics. So.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
But
my late daughter, so she's listening on her phone, so she's laughing at us. So please don't laugh at us. Huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
But the Kennedy nomination is almost over, ma'am.
Oh, we have almost all the 15 counties. We almost have people. You see, you want to pull me. You have a way, TT. I know you have a way of getting the other people, and you are so smart. I appreciate that. You're a strong woman, and I love you like a ship on the ocean.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, we have Kennedy almost all the 15 counties now, and for Montserrat, we almost have at least we have 17 districts up to 14.
Wow!
So we are doing something. We are getting there.
You have up to 14 in Montserrat?
Yes, Mama.
Okay.
We are moving. Dr. Moniba team is moving. I can see you coming on that team.
Through the eyes of faith, right?
I know, right? So through my eyes. Through my eyes, my own eyes. I don't like to.
Madam Khan,
are you really serious about this VP job, ma'am?
I'm serious like heart attack.
All right. My colleague has a question.
Yeah, let me take you back a little bit, former Superintendent, Madam Grace. One of the callers called in and he talked about you making a comparative analysis with the issue of corruption in the two government. The previous Unity Party government that you served as superintendent, and this government as well, because in the government that you serve, your former boss, Madam Solis, said corruption was a vampire and there were some institutions created to fight corruption. But I think those institutions were sleeping, because if they weren't sleeping, your boss would not have made such a statement that corruption was a vampire. Now, coming to this government, we see these institutions, they have been given some leverage to fight some corruption cases. Like this government has given the LSCC the prosecutorial power. Now there's some laws have been changed, to vigorously fight corruption. Now, the way you answer that question may not seem so satisfactory. Do you care to go back?
What corruption being a vampire, and the comparison between the two governments?
Exactly.
So what exactly do you want to hear?
You making a comparison?
Which government has done something concerning corruption? I'm not getting that too clear. Which government had done something concerning corruption or not? Is that what you referred? Or why was it called vampire in one and I don't know whatever in the other? Let me say this. Let me say this. There is no one person. That we have three branches of government. There is no one person who runs a government single-handedly and accomplish everything. Everybody plays his distinct role, and at the end of the day, we come to one point that this is what it is. And most time, since 2005, 2006, we always hear people, even lawmakers, will be in the place and say, the government is the government that, as if to say they aren't part of the government. If everybody plays his role clearly, distinctly, it would be like the three branches of government. The three branches are involved in the process, and it will help the country. When a pronouncement is made, it's not made for when it's made by the president. It's made for everybody. But when you have a House of Parliament, everybody thinks, oh, I'm opposition, and the other thing, oh, I'm not in the government, I'm independent. It brings a lot of problems. We hope going forward in the future of this country that the government will work together. That if somebody in the House does wrong, the justice system will punish them to the letter. If somebody in the executive does wrong, then the justice system will go ahead and give justice as it should. But when we have everybody playing this hand-off attitude, or we are too related and we are too friendly and things are not going the way it's supposed to be, it means the entire government has failed. It's not just the president. It's everybody who has the opportunity to be part of that process has failed.
That's what
Was
I'm
that
asking.
the case in the government you served? And the Ellen Boakai government?
There was not much support from many institutions. Can you imagine 103? And now I said 103 men. The other day somebody made a comment. I know when the antecedent is clearly feminine, I would say she. So when I say 103 men, they should understand that I know what I'm speaking about. So if I say 103 men, you have one woman fighting 103 persons. Let me put it that way. It will satisfy the grammatical, understanding. So if you have one woman fighting 103 persons, and everybody there behaving as if to say the thing you're doing, you are crazy. You know, I hear about corruption, I can really become emotional. The thing you are doing, you are crazy. One woman.
Do so? Does she have to do so as one woman?
That's the problem. So if listen, TD. Look, when this thing started, I went to women that was in that House of Parliament, and all I heard, I got your back. I got your back. I got your back. And they told me some terrible stories. At the end of the day, they all I won't say the name right now. They all folded their hands. Is if I call a name just now, we're not going to get them to prosecute them. They all folded their hands because they were afraid of the male counterpart. This woman does not have any single fear in her for any male who thinks he's supposed to do wrong and get by. Don't have any fear.
If you
especially when it comes to governance, people want to benefit. People need to live. This country is too small. We are not more than the prisoners are in the United States of America. I think they say according to the census we are about 5 million. Even though some of us don't know whether we already got checked anyway. But that's it. At the end of the day, we are too small to be living in this kind of society like this.
Yeah, if you were to win elections, if your party were to win elections, will you persecute people? Will you go back and persecute people?
Go look for the old people and persecute them if the Lord requires that, and they come before us. Why shouldn't we?
What do you mean
What do
when
you
you
mean by
say if
that?
the law requires that? If it comes before
Because
us?
at the end of the day, when you become president, there are many things involved. So if let's assume maybe, okay, let me be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. If we come to power, are we going back to persecute people? That's a difficult question, but it has a simple answer. The simple answer is justice must be done to all.
Then what makes it difficult?
Huh?
What makes it difficult?
What makes it difficult? The question is like, because it's too broad. I don't know what's in your mind and where exactly you are alluding to. So I don't want to be the one to say
fighting
yes.
corruption.
I'm saying I will fight corruption. You're breaking Washington.
Are you getting me now?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
If you say you are a single person fighting corruption and you work
I didn't say I am the single person fighting. I said I was a single person that fought.
Yeah, that's what I'm
103 persons.
A single person fighting corruption. Did you get me clear?
Okay.
Yeah. And you worked in a system that should collaboratively fight corruption. Why this question should be a difficult question for you if you know that fighting corruption?
When I said difficult, I mean you are not hating to the point where I expect you to hate, and that would be left for you because I don't know what's in your mind. I'm not a mind reader, so you have to be clear with me exactly what are you pointing to. Or we better stay on our platform, and when we get to that bridge, we're going to cross it.
So they say Ambassador Bwaka has, some 40 years of experience, and as an old person who has worked with government, why didn't you just join him?
Goliath has huge experience. All his life, he was a giant from his youth, and David was just on the field, little shepherd boy, and when he came to the field and met the giant all along, he could still fight and win.
What is that supposed to mean?
That simply means, I told you earlier, I think we just riding in reverse. I said earlier, we all wanted this collaboration. Since it did not work, I don't see myself involved.
So you believe that David in Dr. Moniba can defeat the Goliath in Joseph Boakai?
No, not Joseph Boakai. Please, we are not trying to fight Joseph Boakai from being president. We are not fighting because Joseph Boakai is running, I'm running, and everybody else is running. So there's an incumbent leadership that every Liberian wants a change. So the change, we are fighting for a change. That's why I will put it. I'm fighting for a change. I did not come to fight Honorable Boakai.
She's saying that David in Dr. Moniba can defeat the Goliath in the people you're running against.
If that would satisfy you.
If that would satisfy you. Madam, are you there?
Hello?
Are you there? Hello?
Wait, let me see. I think it's on. Hello?
Are you hearing us now?
Okay, I'm hearing you.
If it will satisfy you, are you saying that David in Dr. Clarence Moniba can defeat the Goliath in the rest of the people you're running against?
It can defeat any giant that stands in the way.
Okay, if that will satisfy you anyway.
If that will satisfy you, it will satisfy me. What do you think satisfies you?
Okay, so let's hear your parting comments and then we let go of you, ma'am.
Okay, we are
Liberian
National Union, Liberian National Union, and we have a dream to transform this country. Dr. Moniba is ready for us to work and bring transformation to Liberia. Liberia needs transformation. We need our children off the streets. We need our resources to be used for the intended purpose. Like I gave a simple scenario at one of the talk shows where I used the lawmaker salary. At the time, I know it would be a $15,000, and we calculated by the rate, it was like $2,600,000 That's one person taking it at 1 month. We need to look at all those kind of things to ensure that.
Do you think that is the case right now? Do you think
Nobody
that's
has
the case now?
Which case? I thought we're passing OTT. Now come back again.
At the moment.
Yeah, because you said something, so I have to come back and ask you. Do you think
I was saying the transformation that we envisage is to make sure that people, we have a law, we have labor laws in the country. When you work, you must be paid for your services. If you calculate what I just mentioned, one lawmaker could pay 100 police officers every month. One lawmaker salary could pay 100 police officers.
That was
when you work in your government that you serve as superintendent. Now it's different.
Yeah, but listen, I agree with you. My point here is, if people make salaries for themselves, they don't think on the ordinary people. And I hear everybody, we go in this, we go in that. At the end of the day, these are people that you elect. Unfortunately, when we start to teach people what to do and how to do it, I think we'll get better results. So now on the issue, let me last moment.
Let's stick with that a little bit. How much? If
your stuff is really grinding. I don't know how you're doing it, but anyway, go ahead.
How much do you think a lawmaker should make?
If you were the vice president.
But the vice president doesn't decide the lawmaker's salary.
If you were the vice president.
As a Liberian, you just talked about lawmakers when you
at least $5,000.
At least $5,000.
Right. At least $5,000.
And benefits?
Inclusive of benefits, everything?
Of course. Well, now what else you want to add? $5,000? That's plenty of money. Spend the Liberian money.
Excluding benefits or inclusive of benefits?
Well, I thought the total was inclusive. So when I get all the other details, I can work it out.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Complete your comment.
Yeah, so I'm saying that Dr. Moniba and I want to ensure that we have a new Liberia, where children will not go to bed hungry, where our sons and daughters will leave the prostitution camp and the ghettos, where healthcare will be available, that you don't have to fly out of Liberia to go anywhere to seek medical treatment, to ensure that we are self-sufficient in food production, and to ensure that at least every county we have roads. Every county is accessible. I mean, we have roads reaching at least the capital city of each county. Is that possible? Yes, it's possible. And by the help of God, with the resources that we have in this country, we think it can be used for the purpose. We believe it can be used for the purpose on our government.
Okay.
Madam Grace Brown, thank you so much for, sitting on our...
You look cool, you look very cool. I haven't seen you for a long time.
Yeah, you look wonderful also. And thank you so much for, taking up your time to sit with us this evening on Open Conversation. And we wish you all the best.
Yeah, so are you coming over? Listen, like, bro, wouldn't I want to answer that question? I mean, yeah, I'm ready for you. That's my time. Well, Washington, come back.
You're not
come back, brother. Come back. Come tell me where you going.
As you come back on the screen.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I want to see you. Who you voting for? You see, you getting rid of me now, TV. I love you, yeah.
Love you too, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the conversation.
Bye-bye.
I have never, I think this is my first time, to do an interview with a politician. And, I don't know whether she's really, 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 really serious about all of what she says. Yeah, I just feel she was so much relaxed.
She's so reserved.
And very calm and funny about everything.
So reserved.
I didn't know that this is, the Grace Brown, who served as superintendent, or what is it that people get a different, kind of feeling if they want to contest for higher positions in government, or what?
I think Grace Brown the conversation was more like a relaxed chat, wherein we were just I don't know. I don't even know how to put the rightful adjective to this expression, but I think Grace Kwan just put up a kind of cool conversation. And like you said, I have really never had conversations with politicians so reserved like this, Titi. We were like just having almost like a friendly conversation.
Well, the presidency it's serious job
It's
anyway.
a serious job.
It's serious job, and when you are contesting for the presidency, you got to be very serious about it when you're talking about the issues that concern the Liberian people, because the people are listening and they want to know exactly what you have to offer and how they too can be convinced to come on your side. But it is what it is, and it's the weekend. Let's say Fridays for everybody, and so thank you so much for joining us on the platform. All of you who are joining us via social media, would like to say thank you. And we see you, God willing, on Monday.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll be here with another fascinating edition of Open Conversation. My name is Titi Jibra.
And I'm Washington Tapper.
Have a pleasant weekend.
Bye-bye.
From the east to the west, north to the south, yeah, let's come together. I know. They say you're not there, we stand, the better we fight. If we not celebrate, we do it for you. Voila, you forget it. You from Lova County, you from Maryland. Voila, you from Rewa Sessu. I'm a bad way on young people, I walk on the fine way. Tabila, Kriwako, I love Liberia, oh yeah, yeah. Free land on liberty, Liberia, oh yeah, yeah. I love Liberia, oh yeah, yeah. They play for me and you, Liberia, oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
I was raised in the slum, but I chilled with my guns. Kept it on the low, but we fought for the bone. True son of the soil, I'm a prince in my own. Never gonna lie, me, I love LIB. Even though it's